Hey, thanks so much for finding the video. Do us a favor. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. Be sure to leave your comment. We love to interact. Enjoy the video.
As far as the Saints go, and first of all, I'm a diehard, as you know, Saints fan, especially diehard supporter of the man of God, who should be the Defensive Player of the Year.
I agree.
Everybody knows this. I mean, the dude's a beast. You talked about it. You and I were texting about it. The Saints defense is as good as it's been since probably the Dome Patrol. It's stupid how good they are right now. And these people in Philly seem to think, these dopey media people think that the guy who lost his job to Tua and then went to Oklahoma and threw for a bunch of yards where everyone throws for a bunch of yards,
True.
all of a sudden he's going to go in and beat this Saints defense. And I can tell you, it could be Mormon Vic at quarterback. It could be Jameis. Doesn't matter. The Saints ain't losing this weekend to an awful football team in Philadelphia, and it may not even be close.
How did a previously undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers team then lose to an awful 4-7 Washington football team at home?
Because the Steelers, honestly, aren't really on the level of the Saints. I know they're undefeated, but offensively, Pittsburgh's got issues, and they've had them for most of the year against bad teams. They're slow starters against bad teams. And defensively, they ain't as good as that Saints front. I mean, I know they got players there. I'm not an idiot. But the Saints front has been dominant, and they're playing at a very high level right now. Oh, and Washington, better than the Eagles. Beat them already. The Eagles are terrible. They have very little talent. Howie Roseman has left them with nothing. Their offensive line is dreadful, and the good players are hurt. Their secondary is embarrassing. Their only good players are really the defensive front, and our boy from Zachary's a nice little player. The
Boston
running
Scott.
back there, Boston Scott. They got a couple of players. They're largely terrible. Their roster is dreadful. And I don't think that you can take a team that on both sides of the ball has 9 bad players and you go, well, here we go. Here's Jalen Hurts to come in and shake things up. The Saints, if they're worth anything defensively, and I know you could say it's a look ahead, they got the Chiefs coming up. I get that. But the Saints have to go 13-0 essentially to be the number 1 seed because Green Bay ain't going to lose. So they have to win every game to be the number 1 seed and get the bye. I don't think they're going to roll into Philadelphia and overlook Jalen Hurts, knowing what has to happen for them to get the bye. My man DeMario ain't going to let that happen. Sean may. Sean overlooks a lot of people because Sean can clown it up because he's arrogant. DeMario ain't going to do that. The man of God wants to dance after the game in his mask in the locker room, and he's going to do that.
Josh Innes is our guest. He's on Twitter at Josh Innes Show. Give him a follow. You get links to his podcast. Subscribe to the Josh Innes Show podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Let's go a little more detail though on Philly and what they have. I think by far their best unit, maybe their only really good unit, Josh, is their defensive line. Walk us through why that defensive line has been as successful as they are.
And it's been that way for the last 4 or 5 years. I think health is a main part of it. Like, if you look at their roster over the last 4 years and look at the guys they've lost, Deshaun Jackson, always hurt. I know he's not a defensive lineman, but Lane Johnson, always hurt. Jason Peters, always hurt. Carson Wentz, always hurt. Defensive backs, always hurt. They've been pretty healthy there, and Fletcher Cox is really, really, really good. He's their Cam Jordan, basically. He's really, really good. Vinny Curry, when he's healthy, is really, really good. I think it's mostly just the stability there. Health-wise, it's been good. Secondary is a rotating door of injured guys and guys that aren't very good anyway, right? So they're able to get pressure. They're consistently able to get pressure, and that's why I just think the health. I think the easiest answer, and I'm not an X's and O's guy, the easiest answer is they're talented players and they're healthy more consistently.
Can the Saints' offensive line hold up, especially with what we've seen with Ruiz struggling at times, and the honestly, we still haven't gotten final word as of now, Wednesday, on Teron Armstead's availability.
It'll be tough, but here's the good thing. Mormon Vic is going to get out of the pocket, and Mormon Vic is going to make plays. I'm only half joking, but
some people have called him Vanilla Vic. Do you prefer Mormon Vic or Vanilla Vic?
Vanilla Vic, I guess, is better in terms of alliteration.
Yeah.
So maybe Vanilla Vic. I'll go with that too. Mormon Vic, Vanilla Vic doesn't bother me either way.
Okay.
Last night you watch Lamar Jackson. Everybody talks about him like he's the greatest player in the world. Dude, his numbers same as Mormon Vic. So they're the same type of player. One's a little bit faster probably and throws the ball a little bit better. But
one's a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger.
Yeah, but let's put it this way. That offensive line being beat up and Drew Brees being back there, he'd have a much better chance of getting mauled. I know that Drew gets rid of it faster, But he'd have a better chance of getting mauled by those guys than Mormon Vic does. And Mormon Vic, he's a big, tough dude, and he can take the hits. And that's my man. I'm all about Mormon Vic and the man of God. I'm very religious now. I don't know if you knew this. I love the man of God, and I love Mormon Vic.
And no way, that is about as religious as you are, saying those two men's affiliations. That's the extent of it. But it is worth mentioning, though, that with 3 games with Taysom and the Denver game notwithstanding, for obvious reasons.
You can tell Ryan Clark that Denver game didn't mean anything. He's a Mormon Vic doubter. So, oh, my God, I told the world they were going to be ready. They didn't even try to do anything on offense against Denver. Sorry. He upset me. He talked about Vanilla Vic.
They scored 24 the first time against Atlanta, 21 on Sunday. No worries about the Saints offensively going to Philly, outdoor, cold weather, good defensive line, offense that hasn't, while they moved the ball, they've turned it over. Obviously, ball security's been an issue for Taysom so far. No concern there?
No, because they should have had 28 and been up, 28-9
well,
at
weren't.
one point in that game. And they weren't. I get that, but they're at the 4-yard line, and they should have if they call a better play there or he gets rid of the ball. So, no, because if you look at the Eagles throughout the year, most of their games, even against good teams, like against the Ravens, you look at the final score and you go, wow, they only lost by, I think, 2 or 3. But then you go, well, wait a minute, they were down by 20 at one point in that game, and they're down by double digits. I think they've been down by double digits or at least trailing big in the second half of every game they've played. So they're not good. Now, that's without Jalen Hurts, and I know they're excited because Jalen Hurts threw 1 touchdown against the Packers, who were already up 20 with 6 minutes to go. So, that's Philly for you. People in Baton Rouge are wackos. The Philly people, it's like, well, Jalen Hurts is the savior. Like, no, he's not. No, he's not. He went good at real talk. Basically, remember that game was at the 10-0 game against Bama where he ran in the touchdown to make it 10-0? Dude didn't do anything against those guys. Those were NFL caliber players. I don't believe in Jalen Hurts at all.
So is there anything Philly could do on Sunday offensively that challenges New Orleans?
Offensively, I don't think so. The best thing they could do, honestly, is probably let Jalen Hurts run. Because I think the Saints are going to get pressure because the offensive line is terrible. So they're going to have to roll him out a little bit and get him out of the pocket. I mean, a couple of plays he made late in that game, again, it's against the prevent probably. But, he ran for 10, 12 yards a pop at a time. So that might be the answer. They have no wide receivers. We could talk about the Saints' weakness in terms of health or sometimes just bad play as the secondary, right? I mean, who are they going to throw it to? Fulgham? I mean, there's a name of Alshon Jeffrey who fell off a cliff. Like, who's their wide receiver that's going to make plays?
Greg Ward.
Great. Greg Ward is the former college quarterback.
Right. No, that's my point. Rieger, can you believe they, especially we knew it at the time, but now with the benefit of hindsight, passing on Justin Jefferson for Jalen Rieger?
And their whole thing in Philly was, he's just a slot receiver. Okay, congrats on having Jalen Rieger. You look at TT, they're like, yeah, we got Jalen Rieger, and he returned a kick. He made a play, actually, late in that game. And they give the credit to Hurts. They go, well, the team wanted to play harder for Hurts. You people are morons. You're just stupid people. No, I think Hurts is going to get his ass whipped. I believe, and maybe I'll be wrong here, I don't think the Saints are overlooking anybody at this point because, they got the Chiefs next week. They want to have the bye, and to do that, they're probably going to have to win 13 games in a row. So I don't think they're going to go up to Philly, and I don't think weather's going to be a huge concern either. They won a playoff game up there in the snow a couple years ago. So I'm not worried about weather, being outside. There are no fans anyway. I'm not worried about it. I don't care if there's a new quarterback or not. Everyone else on the team, for the most part, stinks. The new quarterback making his first career start, who was a reach in the second round, by the way, no, I'm not worried about it. Now, the way they lose is if Mormon Vic has some of these fumbles and he doesn't fall on them or they don't fumble out of bounds like the end of the Atlanta game. Someone falls on them. That's a problem. I mean, they could have lost. He fumbled late in the game. Fortunately, it went out of bounds. So that's the only way they would have lost to Denver, right, is if he would have turned the ball over too many times. They didn't let him. So, but you know what? If Mormon Vic takes care of the football, and really, people don't talk about this enough, and I told you last year, and I've told you this year when I text and you don't respond during the games.
Text me during games.
Latavius Murray is a huge part of what
Murray,
they do.
present.
They were missing the boom to the zoom. And they're using him more in that role now, and he's putting up some numbers. Latavius Murray's a huge part of what they do.
Josh Innes is our guest. 3 fumbles against Atlanta for Taysom on Sunday.
And one of them should have cost him the game. He just happened to be on the sideline and it went out of bounds.
9.
And you know what, though? You have to acknowledge
9 fumbles on
dreadful.
9 fumbles on the season. That's just
true. But he's better than throwing interceptions.
No, I mean, listen. But in fairness, he threw a ball on Sunday at the goal line that should have been intercepted by A.J. Terrell, who dropped it. And a week ago, similar, threw one right at the defender for Denver, who dropped it. He's gotten away with some. I mean, I think we can say definitively he's very bad at throwing the deep ball.
Well, he threw 4 backyard kickoffs against Atlanta the first time, too.
That's my point. Like, and we can even look at the playoff game last year against Minnesota when he had the one deep shot to Deontay Harris and he underthrew it by 5 yards. Should have been a touchdown. Was caught. So on the stat sheet, it looks like a big play, but it was a terrible throw. So listen, we'll get to the long-term Taysom question eventually. Really, what I'm just interested in is
the long-term solution.
Well, we'll see, and time will play that out. All I really care about is that they keep winning until Drew Brees comes back, and I think they got a great shot to do that this weekend against Philly.
And they will.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.